When flying out of America, you have three choices. American Airlines, which sucks, Delta, which is super expensive, and then you have United Airlines. But that got me thinking. What is United like? And more importantly, what's it like to fly in their best seat that costs thousands of dollars? Well, there's only one way to find out. Here's how we're going to be rating things. I asked my minion, ChatGPT, to give me the 5 most important things that people care about when flying, but starting with the check-in, we got off to a pretty bad start.
Okay, this check-in process is absolutely stupid. It's trying to ask me to put in a destination in the US, but I'm not even going to the US, I'm just transiting, so we're gonna go to a desk.
But to be honest, things didn't go much better.
I won't lie, that was probably one of the worst business class check-ins I've ever done in my entire life on any airline. First of all, the kiosks were the stupidest thing ever. On pretty much every single airline, when you fly business class, you have a designated check-in lane that's a little bit special. Sometimes there's a carpet, sometimes they make you feel good, but here you just get a machine, you don't even get a human. I don't know if that's just because I'm flying out of Japan right now and I'm not actually in America. And the staff were also quite rude, if I'm being honest.
So for the check-in, I'm gonna have to give it a measly 2 stars.
But now that I do have the boarding pass, that means I could head through security and check out the lounge, but there's 2 things that we need to do before then.
With the first being a trip to the Pokemon store to get this limited edition Pikachu, and the second was up this secret escalator.
Now at pretty much every single airport in the entire world, once you get here, you're stuck inside. But here in Japan, they do this really cool thing where pretty much every single airport has an observation deck. That means before you go through security, you can literally come up here and just watch planes take off and chill. But now that I have showed you guys this little secret, it's time to head through security because on the other side, there's not 1, but apparently 2 lounges. Well, I think there's 2. I'm gonna have to explain when we get there.
You see, when you fly business class, you get access to exclusive airline lounges before the flight, but at this airport, I got access to 3.
Obviously the United Lounge, but then there's also the ANA Lounge and Turkish Airlines. So I think the game plan here is literally to go to all 3 lounges and figure out which of them is best. Because I mean, if I have access to all of them, why not? So let's get started with the United one first.
Inside, this place was massive. Sadly, I can't relate. There were artifacts, work areas, and a bunch of different kinds of American food, along with Japanese stuff too. So overall, this first lounge gets 4 stars.
But now that we're done with this one, it's time to go and check out the Turkish Airlines lounge.
Compared to the United Lounge, this one was much smaller, but it also had these cool chairs to relax in, and even though the food selection was limited, there was still a bunch of snacks. But the food tasted mediocre at best, so I'm gonna have to give this place only 3 stars.
It's time to check out the final lounge, which is ANA.
Now, if you didn't already know, ANA is one of the best airlines in Japan, and their lounge was nuts. They had a shower room, tons of seating areas, snacks, lunch, drinks, a sushi and noodle bar where the robots delivered the food, and let me tell you, these ramen noodles were unbelievable.
But now at this point, there's literally only about 15 minutes left until it's time to board this flight. So I thought I'd read you guys some of the reviews about United's Polaris Business Class, just so we know what we're in for. And since they're one of, if not the best business class in America, hopefully they're pretty good.
I was lucky enough to get upgraded to business class. This was my first time on this flight. The service was great, and so was the food. Polaris has its own privacy booth. I was at the window so I could experience the view when landing.
Flew Polaris. Aircraft was beautiful and new, which is state-of-the-art in all respects. It was not really clean when boarded, as litter from previous passengers was not completely cleared away. Service was not particularly good, and food was not up to standard and not nearly as good as in years past.
This airline just keeps getting worse with every flight I take. I paid $8,000 for 2 business class tickets. Worst waste of $8,000 I think I've ever spent. The plane seats in business class were different sizes. The movies are old and not updated. The food is literally unpalatable. 3 children sitting in business class, one of them running up and down the aisle with no one saying anything.
But just like I always say, the reviews are one thing and sometimes the flight itself can be completely different. So it's time to see what it's actually like. Oh, hi there.
Camera you have.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Struk.
Thank you. It's time to see what the Polaris Business Class is really like. Hi there. 15L.
Oh, it's the other side.
That side, thank you.
And let me tell ya, this wasn't just a normal business class seat, because since it was United's Polaris, it looked way much more like a suite.
I'm not joking. I got on the plane 30 seconds ago and I already have a glass of sparkling wine in my hand. And it tastes absolutely delicious. Now, when it comes to the seat itself, I am genuinely very, very surprised. I've flown a lot of business classes like Emirates, Qatar, Singapore. These are all some of the best airlines in the entire world. The quality of this seat is on par, if not better than some of them. The seat itself is super comfy. The butt cushion is super padded. The backrest is super soft. The headrest is actually like memory foam. To make things even crazier, they don't just give you one massive pillow. No. They are one of the only airlines in the world to give you 2 pillows, but this one is memory foam. I know, it's crazy. On top of there being the memory foam, there's also this amenities kit, which I'll have to check out once we're in the air. There's a 5th Avenue blanket and comforter, which is unreal. And these are just my initial thoughts. We still have to check out the entertainment system, the menu, the food, which apparently is supposed to be really, really good. And we're going to be doing that once we're in the air. But for now, let's start exploring the seat just a little bit more.
Checking out the legroom, it was truly insane because I could fully extend my legs. There was this area for storing blankets, a cubby for storing devices, a coat hanger, an adjustable armrest, and a massive tray table with an iPad holder, which means that you could watch things while you ate. There was also tons of different ports for charging devices, but that's not all, because there was also a lamp for the seat, this super bright reading light, and this cubby which had water, full-sized over-ear headphones, and a mirror to check yourself out.
Now, one of the things that people need to be aware of, especially on United or any airline for that matter, is when you fly business class, it's not all the same. For example, if you fly domestic within your own country, usually those business classes aren't very good. But when it comes to the international routes, that's when United and all these other airlines have the best product. And that's why this Polaris seat is super modern, super new, super high-end. And it's because it's a 9-hour flight from Tokyo to America. So obviously they want it to be pretty solid. Now, I was messing around with the seat just a little bit, and there are some features I am very impressed about. For example, if you want to move it, you have this little wheel here, so all you have to do is spin it and you can go forward and backwards and everything else. It's super unique. There's also a full leg rest and lumbar support too, which is awesome. And this is also another very small detail, but this plane in particular has personal air conditioning for business class. I don't know why, but there's sometimes if you fly business, you won't have that, but this one gets a big thumbs up. Also, one of the other things that I do need to mention as well is that the flight attendants are so nice. Literally, I think I've had 4 of them come up to me already, making sure I was a-okay.
So when it comes to the seat and the staff, for now, those are gonna get 4 stars, and it could still change as the flight goes on, but now it was finally time for takeoff.
And one of the things that I do need to mention is that since this is a red-eye flight, at some point I am going to be getting some pajamas. Also, this blanket is absolutely massive and extremely soft too. I'm going to sleep like a baby later.
And while that was all well and dandy, I ended up finding something that wasn't well and dandy.
Back when I was on the ground, I decided I wanted to connect to the Wi-Fi, but guess what? You have to pay for it. Literally, even when you fly business class in a seat that could potentially cost thousands and thousands of dollars, you still need to pay for Wi-Fi. And I'm sure a lot of you are saying, oh, well, why are you complaining like you're flying business class? Well, the reason why I'm complaining is that pretty much any other airline in the entire world, if you fly business class, you get Wi-Fi for free. But of course, since it's America, they gotta make money somehow.
Now at this point, I noticed the flight attendants getting the food ready, so before it gets here, I decided to check out the entertainment system since the reviews had complained about it. Going through the movies, they were new and modern, so I have no idea what that dude was complaining about, and the same could be said for the TV shows too. But that's when I found the weird stuff. Besides that, you can listen to barnyard animals if that's your kind of thing, games like Pong, and my personal favorite, the in-flight map. But now, what was on the menu for today's flight? Well, for drinks, there was a ton of wine and other beverages. For appetizers, it was shrimp or mozzarella. For the mains, I could choose from ribs, chickens, sea bream, or steak, and the desserts looked like they were going to be unreal. But I did need to be cautious because some of the reviews did also complain about the food.
Starting things off, we've got some fresh, warm nuts. And trust me, I always like some warm nut in my mouth. That sounded so wrong. Ooh, these are some really good nuts. On pretty much every airline, they'll serve you nuts before your actual appetizer to get you into it. The ones on United are significantly better than a lot of the other airlines I've flown. Solid 9.5. But now it's time for the appetizer. This appetizer looks super good. Here we have some salad with like carrots and tomatoes. Over here we have the mozzarella with tomatoes. And then over here is a fresh warm bun. But I think we should start off with the mozzarella. Cheers. Really good. Oh, I wish it was a pizza. I know some people aren't the biggest fans of cheese, so if you didn't like mozzarella, this wouldn't be for you. But for me, I'm gonna have to give it a solid 8 out of 10. Delicious. Next up, the salad. And I will warn you, I'm going to be slightly biased because I'm not the biggest salad eater, but let's give it a shot. Pretty decent. If I were someone who really liked salad, I'd probably give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. It's nothing unbelievable, but it's still pretty good. Especially for a salad on a plane. It's incredibly solid. Up in the tomatoes. Very tomatoey. And then finally, the fresh warm bun. I love my buns, if you know what I'm saying. Cheers. Pretty solid. And now it's time for the main dish. Not only does the beef short rib smell delicious, but it looks delicious too. Obviously we have the short rib itself. I think these are like potatoes, and then these over here are more potatoes. To be quite honest, I don't actually know the difference between the yellow ones and the white ones, but I am super excited to try this. And one thing I will say is that when it comes to meat, I am very, 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 very picky. So if I give this a high rating, I mean it. The fact that it falls right off the bone is a very good sign. Bon appetit. Okay. Now, like I said, I am going to be picky and very judgmental. The sauce, really good. It's definitely not the best that I've had in business class, but it's still super solid. But the potato thing, really good. And as for the yellow stuff, which I don't know what it is, really good too. And in terms of the overall dish, I'm gonna have to give that a solid 8.5. But now that I've had the main dish, it's time for the best part of all. And of course, that's dessert. Ice cream on a plane? This is going to be delicious. I mean, I hope. Now I had the option of a few toppings. There was caramel, some other stuff, but I just wanted the chocolate because I'll be honest, when it comes to ice cream, I'm a little bit of a purist. And just like the meat with ice cream, I am extremely picky. So I think it's time to give it a try. This looks so good. Oh my god. I don't know what kind of ice cream it is, but it's like perfect. You know how sometimes you get ice cream and it's too hard and it's just not the greatest? This one is basically soft served and the chocolate sauce is unbelievable. And for dessert, I'm gonna have to give this a solid 10 out of 10. Now at this point, since the first meal service has finished, I think it's time to get ready for bed. But first, we gotta check out the pajamas and also the amenities kit. For pajamas, we've got this really nice shirt. It's super soft, and also a nice pair of pants, which is always awesome. But to make things even better, they also gave me a pair of fluffy slippers. And when it comes to the amenities kit, up first we have Arrive Revived, which has things like a towelette, lip balm, hand cream, hydrating mist, and eye serum. We've got ourselves a nice pair of socks. We have a United pen, which is always nice. We've got a dental kit, some earplugs, an eye mask, and also some soft tissues. But now I think it's time to get ready for bed, and then once I wake up, it's gonna be time for breakfast.
But as I made my way back to the seat, it turns out that there was an entire snack bar where I could get things at any time during the flight. But then when I did get back to my seat, it had been made into a bed for me.
This breakfast looks and smells unbelievable. We've got the pancakes with the sauce, we've got the yogurt with the orange juice, we've got some fresh fruit, and even a croissant. The Japanese yogurt, solid 8.5. The fresh fruit, super fresh and super tasty, solid 8. The croissant, insert the clip of like the fat kid from Jimmy Neutron on there. A little bit dry. I'm gonna have to give this one a 6. The pancakes, It's literally so warm and so fluffy. Cheers. Okay. Those are genuinely the fluffiest pancakes I've ever had in my life. Personally, I really like the sauce. Some people might think it's a little bit too sweet or too berry filled, but I love it. Solid 9.5 from me. But now at this point, there's only about 10 minutes left in the flight, so I think it's time to give you guys my final thoughts.
Despite everything the other people said, from my experience, the check-in was the worst part, getting 2 stars. The lounges overall get a solid 4 stars. The seat itself, I'm gonna upgrade to 4.5 stars. The staff were super nice at 4 stars. And when it came to the food, I'm gonna have to give that a solid 4.5 stars as well. So if you guys enjoyed this video, then make sure to subscribe and watch this one next.